Tonight, the Fed bailout files. The list of where the Fed sent your money over the last few years is epic and shocking. Even more shocking, it was kept a secret until this week. Our next guest, one of the true heroes of the libertarian movement, Congressman Ron Paul, has been pushing for more transparency from the Fed for years. Congressman Paul, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
You have been calling for transparency from the Fed for many, many years. You were ridiculed, you were criticized, you were even marginalized. Now you're proved correct. What happened in the past week that made your prophecy, your prediction about what the Fed was probably doing, apparent to everybody?
Well, we did get a little bit of the audit language passed. It isn't a true audit, but the Fed was asked to release some of the information on who got the bailouts and who got the guarantees, and there was a very great amount that they got involved in. So, but I think what really works is public pressure. I think the people woke up, and the whole fact that we had 320 Democrats and Republicans in the House endorse a full audit meant that the handwriting was on the wall, and the Fed realized they would have to capitulate. It also means the people, if they get upset enough, they will have an effect on the Congress, and the Congress will listen to them, and they put pressure on it. We still have a long way to go. It was great to get that information yesterday, but there's still a lot of international activities that we don't know about. You know, in a way, what we need is some more WikiLeaks on the Federal Reserve. Can you imagine what it'd be like if we had every conversation for the last 10 years with our Federal Reserve people and the Federal Reserve chairman, with all the other central bankers of the world, and every agreement or quid pro quo that they have? I mean, it would be massive. The people would be so outraged. But I think the people are going to be more outraged already on what they're seeing, because it hurts the people. At the same time, it helps the special interests.
All right, when the Federal Reserve gives money to the Central Bank of South Korea, or to the Bank of London, or to Societe Generale in Paris, or to a bank in Germany, does it actually give cash, or does it sort of use funny money just by adding zeros to an account somewhere in a ledger sheet?
Yes, and we still use the terminology printing money, but there's not much printing of money that's going on. It's a computerized expansion of the credit. But you know, as bad as it is dealing and bailing out their friends, just think of what this means when it comes to the Congress's responsibility of authorizing and appropriating funds and directing these funds. This is all secret, off budget, right. And no wonder they didn't want us to see. So it's the atrocious nature of the fact that the Fed is a government unto itself, and they can make loans to governments and other central banks. I think there is so much more to learn, and I'm very delighted that the people want to know more about the Fed.
Will we ever learn what collateral or what promises may have accompanied those loans to foreign governments, and whether those promises or that collateral was inconsistent with our own foreign policy with those countries?
Well, there's a lot we'll never learn, but the ones that we have learned, you know, here at home, what was the collateral? It was illiquid assets. It were derivatives. So the banks didn't want them, and they were broke. So the Fed creates money, and they put them on their balance sheets, you know, more than $1 trillion worth of these, maybe $2 trillion now. And they buy these things. So, yes, we know a lot of it. I mean, it's worse than government paper. It's worthless paper because they call them illiquid, but they're illiquid because nobody wants them. But we now, as a taxpayer, own them.
The Federal Reserve is supposed to be, as unconstitutional as the law is, nevertheless it says, the lender of last resort to banks. How do companies like Caterpillar or McDonald's or Toyota or Harley Davidson get in there? Stated differently, what business does the Federal Reserve have creating funny money and giving it to select American corporations?
Well, they shouldn't have any, but Congress has given them authority under the Federal Reserve Act and their amendments. They have the authority to directly bail out corporations. But it's immoral, it's wrong, it's bad economics, it's unconstitutional. And I don't think many congressmen realize that the power that they had, and most people in the country don't realize it. And I'm afraid it's going to take a bond bubble collapse, and which means the destruction of the dollar, for people to realize and wake up and say, you know, this whole system was just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's built on counterfeit money.
We only have about 30 seconds. You called for a WikiLeaks for the Federal Reserve. Something tells me that you differ with your colleagues who are calling for the prosecution of the WikiLeakers and agree with me and most of our viewers that it's a good thing for us to learn what the government is up to.
Well, in a free society, we're supposed to know the truth. In a society where truth becomes treason, then we're in big trouble. And now people who are revealing the truth are getting into trouble for it. But this whole notion that Assange, who's an Australian, that we want to prosecute him for treason, I mean, aren't they jumping to a wild conclusion? No, this is media, isn't it? I mean, why don't we prosecute the New York Times or anybody that releases this? I think Bradley Manley, you know, probably could say he's committed, civil disobedience. But do we think of Daniel Ellsberg as being an enemy of the people? He was a friend of truth. I know still there's probably plenty that still don't like him, but isn't he the one that really gave us the concrete proof that Vietnam was based on a lie?
Yes.
Most people should know that Iraq and Afghanistan was all based on a lie too.
And the Supreme Court said that he was authorized under the First Amendment to do so. Congressman Paul, thanks for joining us.